why do you talk so much about Indonesian women? And this is a question I have received quite a few times in the past few weeks and months, and today I want to answer your question. And there's a very simple answer to this, because I like them. I like Indonesian women, and that's why I like to talk about them and share this in my videos here. I've done many videos about this topic, but today again I want to address this topic here today for you. And the reason why I'm talking so much about Indonesian women is, number one, Indonesia as a country, as a tourist destination, in my opinion, is still very much underrated. And when it comes to dating, it's the same thing. Indonesian women are completely under the radar, in my opinion. And number three, I have made great experiences in dating, meeting, and having relationships with Indonesian women. And these are the reasons why I talk so much about Indonesian women in my videos. Because I believe and I think they deserve more to be talked about. Yeah? And I just have had great experiences with these women and still have today. So I think it's just fair enough to talk about it. My very first encounter with Indonesian women happened in Hong Kong many years ago, almost 20 years ago, when I worked there as a chef. And I shared this story in previous videos. You can check them out. There I talk about how I met these girls. You know, this was also the first encounter with Southeast Asian girls anyway. I dated Filipinas first, and then later I switched to Indonesian women because I liked them more for various reasons I addressed in other videos. But overall, it was really a fantastic experience with these women, yeah, because they are fun to be around, they are good companions, yeah, they are sweet, they're pretty, they're caring. So that was my first impression with these women. And you know, first impressions last, and they lasted for a long time. But I never really had the intention at the time to move permanently to Indonesia or anything like that. That was not on my list. Only a few years later, in 2011, so 13 years ago, I had the opportunity to actually move to Indonesia because I received a job offer, you know, and it sounded good to me, so I tried it out, you know, not because of the women actually. I knew I have made good experiences with these women, but that was not my main objective. Up until this day, I dated mostly actually Filipina women, Filipinas, you know, but then I moved to Indonesia, and of course, you know, I started to date again and meet these women. I had a very good time. In my opinion, Indonesia as a country, but also the Indonesian women, are completely underrated. They're under the radar, and I don't really know why that is. Because when you look at a map and you zoom in to Southeast Asia, you will notice pretty quickly that Indonesia is actually the biggest country in Southeast Asia. It cannot be overlooked, right? But most of the expats, they travel or prefer Thailand and the Philippines. These are the two destinations which are still very popular today, you know, with many Westerners and expats and stuff like that. So I think Indonesia is a great alternative. It's a great option. Yeah. And that's why I'm also doing these videos, you know, because I want to introduce this country and the girls and the women to some guys, you know, especially Western men, you know, who are looking for different options, you know, who are fed up with, you know, dating in Western countries. And I can tell you there is not only the Philippines or Thailand, yeah, or Cambodia or Vietnam, there's also Indonesia, biggest country in Southeast Asia. But why is that Indonesia is so underrated? I can just assume, you know, that it has to do with the image of Indonesia as a Muslim country, yeah, and I will not go into all the details regarding Islam and stuff, but we all know that, especially during the past, let's say almost 25 years, Islam and Muslim people were portrayed very, very badly, and especially in the media and stuff like that. Without going into much detail here, we all know what I'm talking about, and especially the Western people, if you are honest to yourself, you carry a certain image, right, of the Muslim world, Muslim people, about the Islam. This is no coincidence, because these pictures, these images have been carefully planted into our minds, yeah, to walk around and think badly about the Islamic culture, for example. And so this is, I think, one of the biggest reasons why Western men still refrain from traveling and exploring Indonesia. These guys have stereotypes because of Islam and the Muslim faith, you know. And I also think, therefore, many guys still think, yeah, Indonesia is a strict country, it's Islam dominated, it is anti-Western, it is backwards, you know, and it's even fanatic, you know. I mean, yeah, there were the famous Bali bombings also about 25 years ago, if I remember correctly. It's a long time ago. This stuff happened, unfortunately, yeah, in Indonesia, but it's not the norm. It's not happening on a regular basis. But these are the stereotypes I think many men carry with them, you know. And it's a pity. It's a real pity, you know, because you don't know what you miss. Yes, Indonesia is indeed it's a traditional country, you know, same like the Philippines or Thailand, you know, Thai culture or Philippine culture, and especially the dating culture, the dating dynamics are still very, very traditional, you know, like it used to be in the Western countries, let's say, 70, 80, 90, or even 100 years ago. Yeah. So I can tell you stories from my own grandfather and grandmother, how they dated, how they lived, what they did, and when they got married. It sounds very, very similar to today's stories you can hear coming out from Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines. Yeah. Yeah, it's a traditional country. It's conservative in many ways, you know, but it's no Islamic state, yeah, like Saudi Arabia, for example. Yeah? Even by its constitution, Indonesia is not a Muslim nation. Yeah? Yes, the majority of the people in Indonesia are Muslims. That's true. That's correct. But you also have about 20 million Christians living inside of Indonesia. So Christians, I mean Protestants and Catholics alike. You also have Hindu people, of course, they are living mostly on Bali. And you even have some Buddhists, yeah, living in Indonesia. I think about 1.8 million Buddhists are living inside of Indonesia. But the reality actually is, and this already speaks, these religious facts I just gave you, they speak for themselves. actually Indonesia is a very open country, very open-minded, welcoming and tolerant. Not only when it comes to religion. They are also open to tourists, to foreigners. This is just in their blood, this is their mentality. And I traveled Indonesia many times. I worked in Indonesia for over 4 years and I never experienced any fighting or any political clashes, any terrorist attacks whatsoever. I'm not saying there are not issues going on inside this country. For sure there are some political things, but this is more between the Indonesians, and they also have their issues, they have their problems, they have their political agendas. But you as a foreigner, when you travel there or even date women or are in a relationship with an Indonesian woman, it's no big deal. It's you don't even notice it. Like I say, I have no memory of anything bad happening either to me personally or stuff you hear or see in other countries. Indonesia is the largest economy in Southeast Asia, and it's growing, it's developing, and it's developing rapidly. And I find, in my own personal opinion, that Indonesia is, for example, in a way better shape than the Philippines. When you only look at the infrastructure, a little bit windy here. So when you look at the infrastructure in the Philippines and you compare it to Indonesia, then you will know what I'm talking about. But of course, if you have never traveled to Indonesia, then you don't know, you cannot compare. I would say Indonesia is similar to Thailand when it comes to infrastructure. Thailand has a well-functioning train system, for example. It has highways and stuff like that. You don't have this in the Philippines, for example. So without being, I don't want to be judgmental here. I don't want to judge the Philippines for that. I'm just saying, I'm stating the facts. There is no functioning train system in the Philippines. This is not propaganda. This is a fact. Yeah, you have a public transportation system in Manila. Of course, I know that. I lived in Manila. I worked in Manila. So I know that. But that's it. There is no other public transportation other than some fragments of highways, and the rest is happening by airplane. So when it comes to logistics and infrastructure, I find Indonesia in a way better shape than the Philippines. So this is also something to consider. I have guys contacting me, asking me about Indonesia. They want to move their business there, and they're asking me these questions. Do you recommend Indonesia, logistics, infrastructure? What about, can I set up my business there and stuff like that? It's interesting. So people should consider Indonesia, because also in the business world it's developing rapidly. The government of Indonesia throws a lot of money into these areas. Again, now when it comes to dating Indonesian women, I've done plenty of videos where I talked about the typical traits and characteristics of Indonesian women. Where I talk about my experience of dating Indonesian women, being in a relationship with Indonesian women, how fantastic it was and still is. And this is what I want to share, because it's worth it. And unfortunately, many guys don't know anything about Indonesian girls or Indonesians. It's not their fault, but therefore I'm doing these videos, And again, many people have wrong ideas about Indonesia. They are just ignorant about the culture, the country, and the people. And this might lead them to different decisions, They stick with the Philippines or they stick with Thailand. When they maybe even get more and more fed up with the Philippines and Thailand, and they don't know what to do. They're moving to Vietnam. It's even worse in Vietnam, for different reasons, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. This is based on my experience, okay? So don't freak out over my statements here, great option is Indonesia, a great alternative, therefore. Because the women, similarly to the Philippines and Thailand, are very, very feminine, you know. This is what more and more Western guys are looking for. They're open, we discussed this already. Very open-minded girls, you won't believe it. You think Indonesia is backwards and anti-Western and fanatical Muslim people? No, they are very, very welcoming, and I'm talking about the ladies here, the girls, the women, you know. Very open-minded, very, very, very tolerant, you know. Of course they are exotic, this is what attracts me, you know. They're pretty and beautiful, sweet, caring, docile women also. And of course also very joyful and funny. This is just their mentality. They're very loyal women. Yeah? If you are a guy who is looking for marriage, who is considering meeting women in Southeast Asia and is eventually looking for marriage, I can tell you, Indonesian women are great candidates for that. Indonesian women are also very hard-working. I know this firsthand. I worked with them for over 4 years, and I'm an executive chef I was an executive chef at the time, and I can tell you, it was a great pleasure working with these ladies, you know, because they are hard-working. And I have to tell you here, I'm very honest, I preferred working with the ladies. The boys are also good, you know, you have many great guys, but I find the ladies a little bit more responsible still, you know. They take their job more serious. They are more punctual. They have a slightly better work ethic than the guys. Don't worry, I have many Indonesian male friends. They will forgive me what I'm saying here. They know exactly what I'm talking about, you know. Only people who don't know what I'm talking about, they get it all wrong, they twist it around, and then they accuse me again of some stupid things, you know. But anyway, I don't know. Ignorant people are just ignorant people. But Indonesian women are very hardworking, and I enjoyed I enjoyed working with them. So and I saw that in Hong Kong. You know, you have, I don't know how many, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of domestic helpers or maids working in Hong Kong. It's a very tough job, this maid job, you know. And of course you also have many Filipinas working in Hong Kong as maids. I'm not saying the Filipinas are lazy or the Filipinas don't know how to work. But the Indonesians also have a great work ethic, and they work very hard. Yeah, most of the Indonesian women I got to know, besides of working with them in my hotels, other girls I gotten to know, they also, most of them had jobs, you know, and they want to work. And this is a little bit different than other Southeast Asian countries, in my experience. Indonesian women are also educated. Yeah, they take this very serious. And the education inside of Indonesia is, the government pays a lot of attention to education. So, yeah. But also, I want to be transparent here with you. I also, of course, enjoyed the sex life with Indonesian women. Without going into much detail, but I can tell you, they are not what you think they are. You know, I had great fun, more fun with these women than with other Southeast Asian girls from other countries. This is not only my experience, this is also the experience of many other Western guys. Yeah? And of course, this should not be the only reason why you would want to date or get to know or get in touch with Indonesian women. But you know, I want to give you my entire experience here. Again, Indonesian women are very open-minded. and they are eager to try out new things, also in the bedroom, trust me, and they go out of their way to make you happy. So that should suffice for information here, and I will leave it right here when it comes to this topic, okay? But also, of course, not all Indonesian women are open to date foreigners. Many are, but not all, of course. Especially many Muslim women, they prefer an Indonesian man or maybe another Muslim man from a different Muslim country, you know. That's true, but you know, Indonesia has over 270 million inhabitants, so we have plenty of women who are open to date foreigners. And I know many Indonesian women, friends of mine, who are married to foreigners, to Americans, to British guys, French guys, German guys, you know. You just don't hear so much about these couples or marriages, you know, because yeah, it's not like in the Philippines now. YouTube now is full these days of these Western and Philippine couples who live in the Philippines. Almost it seems like every American guy who marries a Filipina who has a relationship with a Filipina is now starting a YouTube channel. Now you have plenty of, I cannot give you the exact number, but you have, trust me, you have plenty of Western men who are married to Indonesian women, but they're just, you know, they are low-key, low-profile, they do their thing, they run successful businesses in Indonesia. Most of the couples I know, they actually live in Indonesia. Yeah, so the Western guy moved to Indonesia and they started a business there. I think I know one guy, he has a brewery, he started a brewery in Batam. Another one has a hotel, and you know, so tourism, hospitality, hotels, restaurant, that kind of stuff is very popular when it comes to business. So most of the Western men actually moved to Indonesia, and not the other way around. One of my friends, she lives in Great Britain now, so she moved to Great Britain, yeah, okay. But yeah, and they live happily married in Indonesia. So that's already basically it, what I wanted to share with you here today, why I like Indonesian women, what are the reasons, or what have been the reasons for me to stick with Indonesian women, yeah, and why I talk so much about them. Because bottom line, I believe Indonesian women constitute a great alternative to other Southeast Asian women, like the Filipinas and the Thai girls or the Vietnamese girls. You know, these Indonesian girls, they don't need to hide. No, not at all. It's actually the opposite. You really should check out this country and should try to meet Indonesian women to get your own idea. But in any case, Indonesian women are definitely and 100% a better alternative than these overweight, green-haired Western women who are tattooed all over the place and talking like a truck driver, right? Putting you down, making you feel bad and stuff like that. We all know about these stories, so without going into further detail here. Yeah, so there you go. Now you know why I like to talk about Indonesian girls so much, because they are still way underrated, and I talk about them so much because I have had great experiences with these women until to this day. I'm in a relationship now with an Indonesian woman as we speak, and of course I talk so much because I want to share my great experience. Okay, so these are the reasons why I'm doing this. And now I made you aware about the reasons also, and I hope I could inspire you a little bit to put Indonesia on your radar, put it on your map, check it out. And I know more and more men who are contacting me also actually are curious about Indonesia. Also because I talk about Indonesia in my videos. So yeah, that's all I have to say for today. Thanks for watching. Looking forward to your comments, and I'm gonna see you in one of my next videos. Take care, bye bye.